You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's season 4 of Sports Outta Pocket.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
We bring you the craziest controversies.
What is crazy is like the $4.5 million out of Shohei's pocket is maybe like $100, maybe like $50 to us.
Fire me up.
And I have to go at this Braves offense for not doing a thing in October for the second year in a row.
Twin picks.
A lot of quarterbacks can do that.
So 9 interceptions is getting a
Two
key
straight.
receiver and interviews you don't want to miss.
This is the Philly sports guy, and you're listening to Sports Outta Pocket.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
Sports Outta Pocket is back and better than ever.
Let's go!
Welcome back, everybody, to another season of Sports Outta Pocket. Now, the university is going through a lot of changes. I mean, we're going D1. I mean, it's insane. There is such an energy. There's a new energy to this campus. I mean, I'm coming through this new semester, and I'm looking at everybody, and it's an exciting time to be here at West Georgia. But with all these changes, something does remain the same, and that is Sports Outta Pocket being here on Wolf Sports Network. We're bringing you the heavy content. We're bringing you the energy. We're bringing you the happiness, bringing you a smile to your day, and I am here with the same crew I had last year. I'm excited. Jackson Voles, no longer behind the board. You stepped up. You're an executive producer now, brother.
Yeah.
How's everything going?
You know, I kind of miss being behind the board, but I'm glad I chose Andrew Jefferson to take over the reins, and I passed the torch to him.
Can we agree that board op looks a little better, though?
I mean, dude, I wasn't going to say anything, but...
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, like,
Look,
if y'all want to hit me up out there,
Hey, I've never sounded better, man. I think
we definitely, I think we just went from like a 2-star, now we're up to like a 4-star board op over here. Now, we also have the Twins coming back for another season. Now, I'm not going to have to ask you guys how y'all are doing, especially how the Florida State Seminoles...
It's not Monday anymore, Steven. It's not Monday anymore.
You want to know how we're doing? You'll find out at the end of the show.
Oh, trust me. Fire me up. Y'all are not going to want to miss that segment going on, because the Twins, they got something to rant about. The Florida State Seminoles are pretty much, they're done. Like, in my opinion, I think they're done. But we're going to talk about it at the end of the show. The Twins are going to have some yelling to do. But with that being said, let's get into the show.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies.
Like I said, the more things change, the more things stay the same. And we are talking about some controversial things going on in the sports world today. And I'm going to start it off by talking about my man, Whit Merrifield, for the Atlanta Braves. Now, last night, if y'all were not watching the game, which I couldn't blame you, we were playing the Colorado Rockies. And obviously, with the Braves, how the Braves have been playing for the last few games, I wouldn't blame you for not tuning into a game anyway, because it's been a rough season. I'm not going to lie to you. I love my Atlanta Braves, but right now, things are just not looking great. So last night, Whit Merrifield took a pitch up and in. He took one to fastball to the back of the head. And the pitcher that threw that fastball, Whit Merrifield had some choice words to say to him after that pitch. He looked at him and said, "Get the ball over the plate." And then afterwards, an interviewer was asking him like how he was feeling about the whole situation. And Whit Merrifield had a lot to say not only about that pitcher, but about just how pitching is in the game as a whole right now. It's just guys have no respect for hitters anymore. They're just willing to throw it up and in and willing to hit a guy, injure a guy, just because they feel like, well, I'm not going to be scared to throw up and in. But now they're not even scared about having injuries or just what's going to happen to the hitter. Whit Merrifield, in his own words, said that you put my life in danger because you're throwing 96 and it hit the back of my head. Thank God it hit me in a spot to where I was able to get back up from it. But something goes wrong, that's life-changing.
You said guys have no respect for hitters. It just seems like guys have no respect for Atlanta Braves players. We saw a couple years ago where Jose Urania, that's his name, right?
When he played for them, against Acuna.
When he played for
the Marlins had no respect for Acuna.
Nobody has respect for Acuna.
Well, Steven, what were you just showing me after the game? Who just got injured off of a fastball?
Bryce Harper. That's another thing we just want to segue into. Bryce Harper got hit with a fastball high and inside against the Toronto Blue Jays today, hit him in the elbow, and he had to be taken out of the game. It's the state we're in right now. The pitchers in today's game, when they're throwing the fastball, they don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And it just fits the theme of the season. I hate to say it, but you've seen how the Braves have been riddled by injuries all season long. So you hate to see another guy in Whit Merrifield go down, because now it puts us in a hole at second base. We were already in a hole at second base when Ozzie Albies went down.
Oh, don't worry. We have Luke Williams. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, why am I stressing over here behind the board?
Dude,
I forgot about Luke.
The bottom half of this lineup, baby. Gio Urshela, Luke Williams.
You know
We've
who
got
you can bring
Jared Kalenic is back in the lineup, man. I'm excited. Said nobody ever.
At second base, you can bring up Zach Short. You can bring up Nacho Alvarez from AAA.
Yeah, no wonder why we're leaving so many men
we
stranded.
could bring up Yuli Gurriel, except no, we traded him away.
Except no. Just no.
He's 38 years old.
But look, and you're exactly right, Steven, and that just kind of shows maybe the fastball is more of an art than we normally appreciate, and that's why Paul Skeens, he's got his fastball down. You don't see him out of control with his fastballs. If he throws a meatball, it's going straight down the plate, and you're not hitting it when you swing your bat. But you shouldn't approach a plate, especially in a Major League Baseball game, and have to worry about if you're going to have to duck or weave out of the way.
Listen, here's the thing: the fastball that hit Whit Merrifield, it was in the upper 90s. It scares me to think what would happen if Ben Joyce unloads a fastball and accidentally hits somebody in the head. That's not going to. You're not getting up from that one. That's 105 miles an hour going straight to the dome. Like, guys right now in the pitching, I feel like they're being rushed through the minors, and they're ready, and they're also being rushed through the pitching clock as well. They're not getting set. They're not sitting there controlling their pitches. They're not having. There's no control under any of the pitches that they're throwing right now, and it's not getting any better.
So speaking of pitches that need to be controlled, I'm talking about we talked about this last season, the high pitch count, and that's why pitchers are having Tommy John surgery, such as Strider, such as Bieber, such as John Means.
Don't
from
tell
the
anybody that
Orioles.
watched baseball in the 80s. Those guys were throwing 162 pitches before they pulled them out of a ball game.
Fastballs weren't like they were today. Pitching wasn't like it was today.
No, it's not.
Which is why it's more dangerous, Jackson. You're right.
And it could not have come at a worse time because, like you said, Steven, the Braves are coming off a tough 3-1 4-series loss into the Phillies. Sunday night game ended in a devastating extra inning loss when we couldn't score a run in the top half of the 10th or the 11th, which is inexcusable when you're the road team during extra innings. But let's kind of shift our focus to college football because, hey, guys, college football's back,
College football.
And, say what you want about my Seminoles, my West Georgia Wolves are 1-0.
Yeah, dude, an incredible matchup
Mary.
against the Samford Bulldogs. We all said on the tailgate we picked against them. I'm sorry, I doubted you guys, and I feel like the university doubted you guys. But the West Georgia Wolves came out and they played a great game against Samford Bulldogs. That was insane.
Joel Taylor is leading this program to the right direction. I've been at all of his press conferences, and the energy, like the messages he's bringing to his team, is like another coach at West Georgia. Like, he means business. He wants to make West Georgia not just a D1 program, but a winning D1 program. And he wants to make history here, and he already has this past Saturday.
Yeah. Well, speaking of winning programs, let's talk about what the Miami Hurricanes did in the Swamp, because that's exactly where I'm taking us. So Miami, for those who've been living under a rock, picked up Cam Ward, which might very well end up being a top 5 quarterback in the game of college football.
Heisman guy.
And that resulted in a 41-17 win for the Hurricanes, and something that big programs tend to do for these kind of games when they expect to get an upset win, like the Florida Gators in their home turf, is they bring on some of the biggest, some of the baddest recruits, because they will hey, if we upset the number 19 school in the country on opening week, that's going to influence you to come down here. But what they don't take into consideration is what happens if you don't win, especially if you get blown out. So, like I said, Miami comes up with a win. They drain the Swamp, 41-17. Let's see what defensive back Michael Powell had to say. He goes over to the recruits who are sitting behind
I saw this!
He was sitting behind the bushes, and he goes,
"Come to the U.
You better come to Miami. You better come to Miami."
Come to the U.
Coming right back behind him is linebacker Jalen Allman, who goes, "Come to the U. Come to the U. Don't come here. Don't come here." And tight end Riley Williams comes up and dabs the recruit. And I just want to say this, by the way, in the fourth quarter, when Cam Ward threw his third touchdown pass, a Florida defensive back found himself literally laying in the bushes, and he couldn't get up. Like, he tried to get up, and he legitimately couldn't get up. And the recruits got their phones and started laughing at him. when you see that, that is a sign that your program is on a steady decline. So Billy and Napier, listen up.
You know, can you answer this, Andrew? I mean, I know you've done more research on this, but this is like a burning question in my mind. I mean, Billy Napier, I've always said he is the Willie Taggart of the Florida Gators. And by the way, the fans have started a GoFundMe page to send Billy Napier to early retirement. Go give if you feel interested. But why in the world would Billy Napier send all of his heavy recruits to a game against the Hurricanes where he knew they could have possibly lost? And maybe he didn't think they were going to get blown out. But, I mean, like, you got embarrassed, and that falls again on Billy Napier. That's just poor scheduling for your recruits. I mean, it's different to be confident in your team and being realistic on your team. He should have known that Florida wasn't as prepared as the Hurricanes, where they could have gone out and won this game and put on a impressive show for the recruit. Like, I just don't understand. Like, and I mean, he's 0-2, by the way. I don't know if everybody saw him struggling to open that water bottle.
We're talking about those recruits in Florida. What's going through your mind when you see the opposing team coming up to you and say, look, y'all might want to rethink this, because if y'all don't want to sit there and get destroyed by the same program for the next 3 years and have to deal with this, y'all might want to switch it up, and y'all might come to the better school in the state.
I was going to say, well, you can continue your statement. I was going to say one more controversy before we end the segment.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it's for me, you know, as a Florida State fan, Chase might be able to relate to this more than me. It was like watching your two ex-girlfriends fight each other, and you just trying to figure out which one you hate more. And, you know, listen, and I got to agree with Miami right now. Even as a Seminole fan, Miami does run the state of Florida, and that's what they proved to the Florida Gators and their recruits. So Florida might have just lost their entire future.
I just that statement was wild. I just wanted to make a very quick controversy. So a spokesperson for the Philadelphia 76ers came out and said that they are potentially thinking about moving to New Jersey. Do you think that will happen or no?
That's horrible.
It shouldn't happen.
Why would you want to do that? My whole thing is, like, if you're in a huge sport, it's if you make the 76ers, if you rebuild, if you can sit there and bring it back to the point to where they're playoff contenders again, bring in some new players in the offseason. I feel like Philadelphia, as much as I can't stand Philadelphia, because as a Braves fan, you know, Philadelphia fans, I don't like them.
Whoop-de-doo.
But at the end of the day, they're a huge sports city, man. They're going to show up for their teams. And if you give them a product to watch, they're going to sit there and support their team.
I'm just saying
we've seen it in the past when the 76ers were, like, playoff contenders, and they had, like, Joel Embiid was playing at the top of his game.
Ben Simmons was at the top of his game, too.
Yeah, they were showing up to those events. They were showing up to the games.
I just want to say there's a reason why the New Jersey Nets moved to Brooklyn.
Also, do you realize how dangerous Philly
don't
fans
move to New
are?
Jersey. That's a bad idea.
Hey,
just don't do it.
Shout out to the Island Boys, city of brotherly love.
Oh, dude,
great.
Andrew.
No, we're getting that early in this season. All right,
yeah,
great.
we are.
All right, so the draft has happened, ladies and gentlemen. We have our teams. We're going to talk about some fantasy football.
Listen to me now. Kirk Cousins is more valuable in fantasy than Jalen Hurts.
What are you talking about? You are dead wrong. It's time for some fantasy football.
All right, so I feel like it's only fair for all of us. There's only one person that actually made made it to the championship game last year, and that is Mr. Andrew Jefferson. So I wanted to start it off with you. How's your team going to be looking this year?
Well, you know, right out the gate, let me just go and give a quick recap of my starters. I got quarterback Jordan Love, who many believe might not be as consistent as I hope he will. He is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, but people are wondering maybe he just got hot at the right time.
Unrightfully deserving so.
Yes, and I believe that sitting behind Aaron Rodgers as long as he did, we're going to see nothing but consistency. Shout out to your Packers, Christian. But then I got Alvin Kamara and Jonathan Taylor at my two running backs. I expect a big return for Jonathan Taylor. DK Metcalf, who's one of the darkest and biggest underdogs in the NFL. And then Calvin Ridley would be a great wide receiver too. He's new to the Tennessee Titans. Might take wide receiver 1 over DeAndre Hopkins. And then I got Dallas Goedert at tight end. Could need some improvement. Stephon Diggs at the flex with Chris Godwin, because we switched the league where we now have 2 flex pieces, make it a little interesting. Saints defense might be one of the strongest in the NFL, and then Santos as my kicker. I made a trade with Gavin earlier. I originally had Isaiah Pacheco, but I traded him in order to acquire DK Metcalf, and I got Zamir White off of him, which is going to be running back 1 for a terrible Raiders team. So he might end up being a steal for me to trade away Isaiah Pacheco. But, I expect to return to the championship game. I have a lot of aspirations, but I'm more interested to hear who the bottom feeder of the league, what his expectations might be. So Chase, where did you finish last year? I forgot. I have a short memory.
So I didn't finish last. Now Richard Reed finished.
Richard didn't pay attention to his team.
Now that's
that's his fault.
Look, I didn't finish last. That's all I'm going to say is I didn't finish last. Close to it, but I didn't. But
you did.
Hey, but this year's draft, I got the number 1 pick again, thanks to a trade regarding picks I made with
Brendan
Christian.
have the number 1 pick last year?
I did. I drafted Austin Eckler number 1 last year.
He
went down.
last.
But hey, Eckler went down season-ending injury week 2. But besides the point, I took CeeDee Lamb for my number 1 overall pick. Now, if you've been paying attention to the league, Jerry Jones wanted to take forever and bypass this very important CeeDee Lamb he has on his team. Eventually gave him a huge deal, by the way. But because of that, he's on some type of non-injury related, obviously, leave right now, where his practices are limited. But come week 1, if they want to throw him in, which they will, he's good to go. So CeeDee Lamb's going to play, y'all. Now, I also have Dak Prescott, the pair of CeeDee Lamb, Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, Amari Cooper, Kyle Pitts, which is a top 5 tight end in the league, and Kyle Pitts is expected to go back to his rookie season form because he has Kirk Cousins behind center. Now, he is facing a little bit of a hamstring injury, but Josh Kendall of The Athletic reported that he is 100% ready to go for Sunday, so fear not. Scary Terry, Devin Singletary, the 49ers defense, and the Jets kicker. Now, in my draft grade, I got a B, and it literally told me that I had a very balanced draft. No weaknesses, no strengths.
That's a nice way of saying mid. That's a nice way of saying mid.
But look, after what I did last year, I'm okay with going mid. I'm okay with sitting with what I got, seeing what they do the first couple of weeks. If I need to make moves, I will. But I'm at least right now in a spot. I think I have a playoff-worthy team right now.
I think you should bring it to your week 1 opponent. Now, I fully admit on air, I made some mistakes in the draft I might as well change my name to the emergency room.
Tell me the bench. Tell me the bench right now.
No, I'm going to say the starters, but I drafted Nick Chubb and TJ Hawkinson.
In the bench? What is going on?
Call me Jason Barker because I'm looking at the upside. I'm looking at my starters right now. There's a reason why I'm wearing this jersey, not because I'm an Eagles fan, but I drafted Jalen Hurts. My running back duo is Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, but that may change in the future. My wide receivers are Nico Collins and Mike Evans. My tight end is Jake Ferguson. Shout out to all my Georgia fans who are here in the control room, here in this room. I got Ladd McConkey, who I fully expect to be wide receiver 1 by midseason. My second flex option, I have Rashee Rice. And if Brendan is watching right now, no, you are not getting Rashee Rice from me because due to the fact that Marquise Brown is out for a couple weeks, Travis Kelce's tight end share is going to go a little lower, and I have the Falcons defense and Jake Bates.
Travis Kelce might not be a top 5 tight end.
Exactly.
Can you tell us where exactly you drafted Nick Chubb and TJ Hawkinson?
I drafted Nick. Well, so I didn't do my full research.
That's who I'm gonna draft.
I drafted
TJ Hawkinson.
By the way, follow us on Instagram. Check out the latest reel.
I'll do that. I'm gonna win the league this year.
But
I'm gonna win.
I drafted Nick Chubb as my first flex option, which was not
I know
very smart.
for a fact Jackson perked up when he saw Nick Chubb available.
Nick Chubb, yeah! He was so good last year. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get Nick Chubb. I'm going to go crazy this year.
And then right behind him? TJ Hawkinson too? Are you kidding me?
You know what, Steven? Tell us your team before
That's
we
great.
wrap up
No,
this.
you want me to? I can tell you my team. I got, in my opinion, the sleeper quarterback this year.
Your team is really good.
Here's the thing. C.J. Stroud, last year, with his receiving core that he had with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, spread the ball out. He was a great quarterback. He had a lot of yards at the end of the year. He was great in the red zone. This year, you give him Stephon Diggs on top of those 2 receivers he already had. He's going to go crazy this year. In my opinion, the man's going to be throwing like you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. I think he gets 4,000 yards this year.
Now, do you think
4,000 passing yards this year?
What are the odds? Because this might be a hot take, but I was discussing this with Jackson earlier today. I think even with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs will be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. Do you think we see?
So here's why I believe you're right. I think that on the third down plays, when it comes to those flat routes and those guys like the yards that you need to get, you're going to be going to Stephon Diggs for those moments. Tank Dell, in my opinion, he's kind of transitioned into like an Xavier Worthy role. He's fast, he's short. short. He can sit there and get those deep routes. He's a quick guy. Tank Dell's still, in my opinion, a top receiver in the league, and that's why I picked him. I wanted to get that stack with Houston. I wanted to have Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud on the same team. Hopefully, they're going to build up a lot of yards together. I still think he's going to use Tank Dell in this offense. And in my opinion, here's the thing that's crazy to me. My receivers, I had to take a step back this year, because I was not expecting to pick a running back in the first round. But when you're the 7th pick in the draft and you get Breece Hall falling all the way down to you, I'm going to pick him. I got Breece Hall and Rachaad White as my 2 top running backs. I needed to do that. They were the first 4 picks. I had to get like a running back duo. It killed me last year. The running back, not having another running back below Isaiah Pacheco, killed me in the fantasy last year. So I wanted to get that running back duo established this year. And I still have Michael Pittman as my top receiver. And Michael Pittman's the number 1 receiver in it. Tell me who else are going to throw the ball
with
to.
AR-15 back. AR-15
Dude,
back.
Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman are going to be making magic together for Indianapolis.
What kind of makes this hard is having just to let y'all know, we have a super flex in this league. That's what kind of makes this hard when you're building your roster.
What's great is that I sat there and Javonte Williams for the Denver Broncos as my RB1.
I had him last year,
not my
dude.
RB1, but like as in the flex and RB1 for the Denver Broncos. I mean, in my opinion, Brendan obviously has the best running back duo in the league. Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you could put Christian
Saquon
McCaffrey
Barkley.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks,
with
Jason.
Jalen Warren, and it's fine.
Jason.
But getting Javonte Williams and Jaden Reed as my 2 flex options. Jaden Reed, in my opinion, very underrated this year. I think he's going to get the ball a lot. I think he's going to spread the receptions with Christian Watson this year. I think he's going to build off of the great season he had last year. Like, I feel like he was a great option for Jordan Love in that Green Bay Packers offense. So I think Jaden Reed's a great option for that flex. And then if he starts to stink, I got Mike Williams in the bench ready to go.
And I do want to point out what you said about taking a step back receivers. Anyone who's doing fantasy this year, and we know that by doing the fantasy drafts, the running back really takes a big dip after the 5th round. Like, you kind of had to get a running back pretty early, but then receiving-wise, receivers were stacked this year. You were okay waiting till later rounds getting receivers. So I think for everybody, it was smart to get a running back earlier rather than later.
And I took an interesting strategy based on that, Chase. My first 3 draft picks were all running backs, because people don't tend to realize, even in a 12-man league, the receivers run deep.
They do.
So I was still able to get 3 really solid receivers, even after taking 3 running backs.
And the running
first.
backs were scarce this year.
Yes,
the running backs were very scarce. If you waited to pick your running backs, then you were going to be out of luck.
Right.
And that is why I decided to pick my Breece Hall and Rachaad White in that running back duo. I'm really confident on my running backs this year. But we're going to go into a quick song. When we come back, we are going to get into some cash or trash, and we're going to pick our game of the weeks for this weekend.
comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
It's Sports Outta Pocket, cash or trash.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about some cash or trash. Now, how this works is I'm going to be asking some opinions that I have personally, and I'm going to be spreading it around the table and see if y'all agree with me, cash, or you disagree with me, straight trash. So, my first opinion that I have this year, I am such a believer in this receiver. Y'all don't understand. I believe that this guy is going to go off this year. I think he's going to break records this year.
We're talking about NFL?
Is it NFL?
I'm talking about NFL, baby.
Okay.
I am talking about Mr. Tyreek Hill. I believe that this is his year. He is going to win the AFC MVP, NFL MVP.
Wow. Okay.
What do y'all got? What do you guys think?
Okay.
Do you guys, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Or is that the truth?
Jackson, take the lead on this.
It's not necessarily crazy. I just still think we know. We know
QBs are usually the ones that are going to do this.
The last time that a non-QB won this award was 2012, and that was Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
We got really close last year, and in my opinion, if Christian McCaffrey didn't get injured in the last couple of weeks, he might have won it.
Yeah. Did Christian McCaffrey win last year?
No, it was Lamar Jackson.
That was Lamar Jackson.
Again, it's kind of
almost.
I don't. It's a QB award. Would I like to see Tyreek win it? Of course I would.
I think this is the year that we're going to finally see it. I think that this is the year. I think in quarterbacks, all of a sudden, like I think C.J. Stroud's going to have an incredible year, but I also think Patrick Mahomes is obviously going to put up the numbers as well. But Patrick Mahomes usually like there's a balance game to it. Like he's not flashy. Jordan Love's going to have a great year. I don't think he's going to be MVP caliber, but he's going to have an incredible year.
Somebody actually said Love will be MVP, and now I was shocked.
That is not.
I don't think it's going to be true.
That's not true.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, genuinely, we really don't know. We're just speculating at this point, but I do believe that Tyreek Hill is going to be the #1 receiver in the NFL this year, and he's going to put up incredible numbers, going to break records this season, and he's going to be the MVP.
You know, I'm going to have to say, just kind of like Jackson's just said, it's kind of like the Heisman Award. It's really just become a quarterback ran award.
Yeah.
And I think given what the MVP is, it's a guy that's got to be the most valuable for his team per the entire league. And I think if there is a receiver to do that, it will be Tyreek Hill this year. But my personal pick is C.J. Stroud to win the MVP, so I'm going Josh.
I love it. I love it. I would love that, especially on my fantasy team.
Hey, can I throw in a little cash or trash? So you mentioned AFC MVP, right?
Well, yeah.
And
NFL,
I know you mentioned Jordan Love as well. I want to talk about, you know what? Jalen Hurts for NFC MVP, and the reason why is because we added Kellen Moore. We seen what he did with Justin Herbert. We saw what he did with Dak Prescott as well. And with that new added offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts, I think Brock Purdy takes a step back, and there's a reason why I didn't put him as my QB. I mean, I had Jalen Hurts as an option, but there's a reason why I didn't put Brock Purdy on my fantasy team. But Jalen Hurts, NFC MVP. I mean,
listen, there's another guy, and I don't think he's going to be MVP, but at the end of the day, he had a great regular season last year. He just fell off in the playoffs against the Packers. Dak Prescott's another guy to look at. Dak Prescott's a guy to sit there. He's going to put up a lot of yards when it comes to passing the ball this year.
Yep.
And it's just a guy that you got to look at. Dude, with CeeDee Lamb in your receiving core, he's going to go nuts.
He will. Yeah, I do agree. So the Jalen Hurts thing, this is exactly what I would need from Jalen Hurts. At least 38 passing touchdowns, preferably 38 to 42, and then we saw
what
rushing
Lamar
touchdowns.
did last year.
No, I know, but if he has 50 touchdowns and less than 20 interceptions, he should win MVP. I'll say that. And that would be on the ground and through the air.
And I agree. And I think with the new offensive coordinator, we're going to see a more Jalen Hurts kind of mold back into his almost MVP season when he led the Eagles to the Super Bowl. I think we're going to see that version of Jalen Hurts, and I think it's going to force him to pass the ball a lot with the Eagles' secondary being as weak as it is. So I'm going to say that could be a cash.
So we talked about our best quarterbacks in each respective conference, but who do y'all think is the NFL MVP overall? Like the actual NFL MVP.
C.J. Stroud is my pick.
Man. Okay, so NFL MVP overall, I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to be my guy, just because as far as a guy that means so much to their team and they're going to be relying on to to change games for them, that's Tyreek Hill for me. But if we're talking quarterback, straight quarterback, I agree with Andrew. I think C.J. Stroud's going to put up a lot of numbers this year, just because, in my opinion, they have the best receiving core, or at least top 3 receiving core in the NFL.
I'm just saying, I think Lamar Jackson. The only reason Lamar Jackson honestly really stepped up in that NFL MVP race last year, remember J.K. Dobbins went down, and now they have Derrick Henry.
Yeah, now they got Derrick Henry.
They're going to be running the ball a lot more.
They're going to be spreading out. Derrick Henry's going to get a lot of rushing attempts. I mean, listen, I get it. He's getting up there in age, but Derrick Henry's still a valuable asset to have on the team. The man can sit there and get some yards, tough yards, up the middle. In the red zone, they're going to be using him a lot more to get those tough yards and get those touchdowns that they desperately need. Yeah. So, Lamar Jackson, he's still going to have an incredible year. He's still going to be top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but I think he's going to take a step back when it comes to, being
as dynamic,
as dynamic as he
was last year. And honestly, I feel like that's better for him, because save up that energy for the playoffs. When it comes to the playoff time, you want Lamar Jackson as healthy as possibly can. I feel like because of how much he had to do last year, by the time the AFC Championship rolled around, also Zay Flowers fumbling it in the end zone.
I was about to say, just don't throw it to Zay Flowers.
A dark
just don't throw it to Zay Flowers. Just don't throw it to Zay Flowers.
A dark horse for me for MVP. And I know it's crazy, he lost a lot of his team this year, but Josh Allen. If Josh Allen comes out and he carries, you would think about it. He's not going to play good. I know that, but that's exactly why he can win MVP. Is the whole thing. If he can go out there and lead that young team to somehow be elite somehow. I mean, I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but I'm saying I could see it happen. If he somehow brings this offense together, I could see it, because that's
shout out to my Florida State boy Keon Coleman. And listen, even with James Cook, now I'm not the highest on James Cook this year, but I feel like they're going to have to be a lot more two-dimensional, even with James Cook in the backfield. And I think Josh Allen, that's going to poise him to put up impressive numbers. I don't think he'll win MVP, but I think those numbers are going to lead him to being in the conversation.
I could see some rushing touchdowns happen.
Exactly. So I think that could be a cash. I still think it's a long shot for him to win MVP, given who else we have in the league.
So I got one more that I want to talk about, and I'm going to be talking about a specific team. I'm talking about these Pittsburgh Steelers. They announced Russell Wilson as their starting QB. Now, I think that's going to change very quickly. After the first couple of weeks, let's say Russell Wilson not performing well. Justin Fields is ready to go. Justin Fields, in my opinion, is a guy with this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. George Pickens at the receiving core. He could be a guy that can take this Pittsburgh Steelers to the level that they want to be. So I think that Justin Fields is going to start week 3, week 4, and Russell Wilson's going to be hitting the bench. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I actually think that's a trash. And the only reason I say that is because Russell balled out. I know it didn't seem like it,
26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last season.
Exactly, with a QB or with a coach that didn't want to throw the ball, preseason, though. With no one who didn't want to help. So, they're still trying to get things going. But if he can do what we know he can do, the rest we know, and he lets it fly and lets it ride, they'll be all right.
All right, let's try to pick our games for this weekend.
Alvarez hits a high drive, center field. Veerling's back. This game is turned upside down.
It's time for the game of the week.
Well, we were just talking about it. NFL is back, baby. We have our first game of the season tomorrow with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I believe that the Baltimore Ravens are going to start the season off hot, and they're going to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team. That's just, I'm going to start it off hot. I think that's what's going to happen. That's my game of the week.
I like it.
I want to go around. Who do you think is going to win tomorrow night?
It's an AFC Championship rematch, so it's obviously one of the most anticipated returns. I think it's a great way to kick off the NFL season, because you've got a Kansas City Chiefs team who's coming off back-to-back Super Bowls, looking for a three-peat this year, and they did it without a receiving core. Now you pair him up with a guy in Xavier Worthy that could be the next Tyreek Hill for that Kansas City team, and then flip it to the other side. The Ravens got bolstered up with Derrick Henry, who we just talked about in the last segment, and I think it's going to be a very high offensive game. I think Taylor Swift's going to love it. I hope I only see her on screen at least 3 times, but hey, Patrick Mahomes have even opened up and said that T Swift has been drawing up some plays for the Chiefs this year.
You know it's going to be even worse this year. Like, they're going to be showing her nonstop, especially for the opening game. I mean, dude, there's one thing that we can't hate on. We can't hate on the fact that Taylor Swift has brought in a lot of eyes to the game. People that usually wouldn't watch NFL, her fan base are watching the football games because of her presence. So I think tomorrow's going to break. I think we're going to have like a record-setting game tomorrow as far as people who are watching this game. So, again, I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to break a lot of hearts. They're going to break T-Swift Nation. They're going to break their hearts because Lamar Jackson is going to ball out. Derrick Henry is going to have at least one rushing touchdown in this game. You're going to bookmark it. Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game.
I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over her in blank space, and it's going to be wrapped.
Here's a prediction. I'm going to call it 24-31 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hear me out. Hear me out. The only reason I say that is because the Ravens will absolutely crush it on the run, but I'm looking at them like, ooh, these teams are going to go back and forth. They're going to run. They're going to take a lot of time, the Ravens will, and I would just hate for it to be 24-24 and the Chiefs get that ball in one last possession and drive down the field. That's the only thing I can see happening. If not, the Ravens got it.
Man, what's just unfair is the fact that, look, in my opinion, one of the gets in the draft that I feel like is being swept under the rug and that's kind of underrated is the fact that they got Xavier Worthy, man.
Yep.
Like, we're talking about the guy that broke the record for 40-yard dash times. Like, he is the fastest receiver in the NFL. And you give him to the best quarterback in the NFL? I mean, that just feels unfair to me. It feels like we should have just called an audible and been like, look, you can't have everything, all right? We got to sit there. We got to give you to another guy. We can give you to the Raiders. Let Minshew have Xavier Worthy.
So there's two key components, one on each side. So Rashee Rice, he only started half of his games for the Chiefs last season and was still almost a 1,000-yard receiver. And we see the Baltimore Ravens, they have the addition of Derrick Henry. In my opinion, I know Derrick Henry's like 29, 30 years old. He's getting towards more of the end of his career, yet he's still putting up 1,000-yard rushing seasons. And this is the best offensive line he has been behind. So it's I don't know. I would take the Chiefs by a touchdown. Yeah, I would have to agree with Christian. Chiefs by a touchdown.
In my opinion, I don't think this is going to be. I think it's going to be really close. I think we're going to see like a 27-24. I don't think it's going to be a touchdown score. Yeah. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the game's not going to be decided until like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's going to be kind of back and forth. I don't think they're going to – I think we're going to start off hot. We're going to see a lull in the middle of the game, kind of how these games kind of do. Like, it's the first game of the year. Guys are still trying to figure out their offensive schemes. I mean, it's going to be stuff to figure out, but I still think that it's going to be a very entertaining game. I think it's going to be close, and I think we're going to be separated by field goal.
Hey, look, I would be doing us a disservice if I didn't sneak over and talk about my Dirty Birds playing. Shout out to you, Brennan Willoughby Ray. His Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 1.
Andrew, I can't lie to you, brother. I'm nervous.
Look, there's a lot that rides on. Yeah, there's a lot that rides on this game that not a lot of people realize. Kirk Cousins is coming off his season-ending Achilles tear, and he's entering his 36-year-old version of himself head to the season. Golly. And then you've got quarterback complications and, the Steeler Nation. You don't know who's going to be your true starter, but they did give Russell Wilson the Week 1 spot.
The defensive side for the Steelers as well, Patrick Queen was added.
It's always going to be good.
But
and look, this is
the Falcons defense this year. Let's bring that up.
We
make so many good additions to this team.
You got to look for Atlanta's defense to be revamped in a way we haven't seen in years, not only with the addition of defensive-minded head coach Raheem Morris, but that dynamic safety duo of Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, who might be the most underrated offseason move in the entire NFL. And you can say the Steelers' defense is one of those teams that's always going to be stellar. I mean, they call themselves a Steel City for a reason. And Mike Tomlin, he's yet to see a losing season. But one thing that I think people got to be on notice for is Kirk Cousins is pulling himself around a lethal weapon with Drake London, who I've got on the back of my jersey, Kyle Pitts, who I think is going to be in his best form ever. And then you've got Darnell Mooney, who I think is going to be a very underrated receiver. And then you've got a top 5 backfield in the NFL with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Bijan is going for 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards. I think Algier is going to be close to 1,000 himself. This is a revamped. This is the most excited I have been for a Falcons season in my entire life. And I think the Falcons are going to wake up and open eyes in Week 1. Falcons are going to beat the Steelers in Week 1. Mark my words. sports. I will see
Real
you for
quick
the next
before
episode.
y'all get into y'all's Eagles versus Packers thing, I just want to talk about how I was here on draft night when the Falcons decided to draft Michael Penix Jr. as the 8th pick overall, and
Great
I sat
reaction.
here and I slammed the chair. Y'all can see the video. I was
We're gonna
sitting
pull
here
the clip up.
slamming the chair. I was upset. I was angry because I didn't understand what the Falcons front office was doing, but they have gotten my confidence
Yes,
back.
they have.
Dude, not only did we get
Penix
Justin
Jr.
Simmons,
was
you didn't
balling.
even mention Judon. We have Judon on the defensive line along
built
with
by Taco Bell.
Onyemata
And a row.
and a row as well. I feel like the D-line is going to get a lot more pressure on the quarterback this year. Russell Wilson's up for a tough time. He's going to have to sit there and get outside of the pocket a lot of times in this game. So this is the most excited I've been as a Falcons fan in a long time, since 2017.
100%.
I feel like the Falcons are going to make a run this year. I'm ready, man. Falcons Nation, let's rise up, baby.
How much time do we have left in this segment?
2 minutes. Y'all got 2 minutes to go back and forth right here.
I'll let you go first.
Well, as you guys know, Friday, two real contenders actually play. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to throw any shade. No, but the Packers and the Eagles play. I don't know what I'm going to call this game, but I will. Actually, I'm going to take my Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say that they win 34-31 in a shootout in Brazil. I will say Green Bay's gotten better. The thing that the Eagles are going to have to worry about is our safety, Xavier McKinney. We just got him. One of the best safeties in the league, top 5 safety. We got Xavier McKinney. Jair Alexander's back healthy. He needs to shadow Devontae Smith, not A.J. Brown, because I have him in fantasy. So shadow Devontae Smith and just lock up that secondary. But I am worried. The Packers' run defense has always been awful. They have Saquon Barkley. If they utilize the run and if they utilize the read option, they will beat Green Bay.
Hey, you're talking about secondary. We brought CJ, GJ, Tom Brady's father back. And we also, Bradbury is out for 6 to 8 weeks.
That's it.
Steven and Andrew were asking me about this earlier. I don't care that Bradbury's out 6 to 8
don't like
weeks.
him.
He sucks. He's awful.
Man, he's
That's
that
why
bad?
we drafted Quinyon Mitchell, who had 3 interceptions alone in the
You guys
NFL
traded up
preseason.
to take my
and Darius Slay is
love.
still towards the top of his game. We also got Cooper DeJean as
I
well.
wanted Cooper so
yes, we
bad.
did lose Hassan Reddick to the New York Jets. And another thing about this Eagles offense is we have Kellen Moore now, which I like more than Brian Johnson.
Can we just talk about how NFL sending both of your teams to a country that doesn't allow green?
Oh, yeah.
Both teams' primary colors are green.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
They just don't like that.
That's crazy to me. But okay,
some
with all
controversy
that
for you
being
guys.
said, we're going to a quick song. When we come back, it is the segment you all have been waiting for. The Twins are about to get fired up. It's going to get loud in this studio because
Heck
Florida
yeah.
State sucks. We'll be right back.
What's up, YouTube? Listen, we've got some fire music going on over on the WolfSportsNetwork.com. That is our primary area for listenership. So if you guys want to hit that up and listen to the music we got playing and jam out with us, please feel free to do so.
There's multiple things you can do to live a good life. You can hang out with friends. Hey! Go to the beach. Eat some good food.
But you know what you can do to live the best life?
What?
You can tune into Sports Pack Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. on Wolf Sports Network. The Wolves play here, now an Odyssey station.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Fire me up.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen,
They are choking.
they are choking. The
You
Florida
can't-
State Seminoles
Hey,
are 0-2.
Yes,
and
you can't spell frauds without F, S, and U.
dude, 0-2. They lost to Boston College this past Monday. Some guy on Twitter probably has to eat some dog poo, but they're trying to track him down. But I think the guy's just went off the map. I don't think we're ever going to see that video.
DJ, you need to sign up for LinkedIn.
DJU needs to put the fries in the bag. So
Shout out, John
right
Howard.
now, we are in a moment to where the
DJ, put
Florida
the fries
State
in the bag.
Seminoles have they're probably the most upsetting team
Yeah.
of the league,
Yeah.
especially for these Florida State fans and the Twins.
Garbage.
Man, I mean, my goodness. I was there at your house when y'all lost to
John,
Georgia Tech,
come
and
on,
y'all were
John.
sitting there like close to tears. Dude, the Boston College, I can't even imagine how upset you guys
Man,
were.
I regret not showing up
Hey,
for last game.
let me paint a picture for you. So I'm going to give y'all the start of the season. So we all know what happened last year. Florida State missed the playoffs, debatably. Whether you're on team they should have, team you should. That doesn't matter. We missed the playoffs. We were left out. This was supposed to be a revenge tour. Now, to everyone saying, I told you they should have made the playoffs, please understand this is a completely different Florida State team. It's completely irrelevant to last year. But here we go. We're in Ireland, boys. We're ready to play them Yellow
Ireland
Jackets
boys.
over in Ireland.
boys.
Ireland.
boys. Top of the morning to you.
And let me tell you how this game starts. A beautiful offensive possession by Florida State Seminoles that was dominated by the run and capitalized by a 28-yard touchdown by Lawrence Tuafili. And then right after that, Minerville pulls out some trickery where the grade O Brian Courtney ran his way in the end zone for a 2-point conversion. It was 8-0. Now, how'd the rest of the game go? Well, Minerville showed little trust in DJU. And at the start, at first, I was like, let DJ throw the ball. Minerville, why are you not letting DJ throw the ball? He limit DJU, and we try to rely on the run. But Georgia Tech said, no, sir, I'm not going to allow that. And let's see, I got to figure out his name. I'll get to you a little bit.
Is it the transformer linebacker?
Yeah,
that Georgia Tech
Kyle
had?
Elford. Kyle Elford, the number 44 with the big, massive
Shoulder
pads.
Shoulder
yeah.
pads that stuck out the back of his jersey.
No, it was him and Amari Harvey that was in the backfield as soon as we snapped the ball. Our O-line was getting manhandled in the trenches, but it wasn't just the offensive line. This defensive line that was supposedly supposed to be the best in the ACC did not record a single sack, put little to no pressure on Haynes King, and he did whatever he wanted to. Haynes King himself, I believe, ran for 64 yards and then passed for 140 something. But he had his way. The Georgia Tech was not allowing Joshua Farmer, Pat Payton, Marvin Jones Jr., who I'm going to throw and say has been utterly disappointing. This Georgia transfer has not done anything. And matter of fact, none of these transfers has come in has done anything. Not Wardell Williams, in my opinion, I think he needs to get less touches. But like I said, Marvin Jones Jr., not transfers, but Joshua Farmer, Pat Payton, but the Jalen Brown, the receiver, has done nothing. Now, Portier proved against Boston College he should be a main receiver, but besides that, we have no answer. So Mike Norvell, after Georgia Tech game, he said it was embarrassing. He admitted to his bad play calling, and he said, against Boston College, you are going to see DJ throw the ball more. And while we did see that, Andrew, what happened Monday night?
So, you mentioned, Chase, that our coaching staff didn't trust DJU because, we were like, hey, he's a fifth-year senior. He is a super senior, as you could say. And it turns out he is as stupid as the super senior term suggests him to be. Because even though he's been throwing the rock for 5 years at the collegiate level, he needs to go back to freaking high school and learn all over again because he's forgot how to walk. He needs to learn how to walk before he can run. And we let him run against Boston College, who is coached by an NFL experienced guy with Bill O'Brien. So what happened? He throws 21 for 42, but Andrew, that's 50%. 50% only gets you halfway in life, and it's not going to get you a win against Boston College.
50% in the college football or just in any football game is terrible.
And you know what? You know when the game was over? You know when the game was over? It's not when former Seminole, which
in the first half it was over, brother. After missing 3 wide open receivers in the end zone.
Look, Trayshawn Ward. Screw you, buddy. You were on our team last year, and you gave us no mercy, okay? He was dominating us on the wheel route. He was pounding us on the inside, and our defensive line looked more depleted than it did against Tech. Shout out to your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Aiden. But listen. The game was over when DJ missed a wide open Darian Williamson in the left corner of the end zone, and then Morlock, who was a dog for us last year, can go back to where he came from because he couldn't catch a ball. He couldn't catch a freaking cold. And, Boston College, they had our way with us. After the game, Mike Novell reports, I'm sick of how the season has started. You don't freaking say, because all of Tallahassee is sick of you.
Man.
And he even said that he failed in preparing the team to
here's how you know.
Hold on. He even said that he failed in rebounding the team against Tech. But not only did you fail at rebounding the team, you looked far worse than what we saw in Ireland, and this season is now dropped from a top 10 ranking to out of the rankings completely, and we might lose to Memphis. Heck, we might lose our bye week this weekend because of how terrible this team has performed.
Send him to Cancun.
Here's how you know that the team is just not what the fans want it to be. When by the third quarter, your entire fan base is begging, pleading with the coach to put in the backup quarterback. My goodness, everybody in that stadium was chanting for Brock. They wanted him in. They wanted the backup QB in. And I figured you guys wanted him in too.
The worst part is, after game one, when everybody was like, oh, why was DJU why was his D passes so inaccurate against Georgia Tech? Do you know what his parents said? He said, it's not our son's fault. It's Mike Norvell's fault because he's limiting our son. He's not letting him pass the ball. Well, you know what, Mom and Dad? DJ sure passed the ball against Boston College, and he sucks. Your son sucks.
Mommy and Daddy is not right all the time, and that was proved against the Boston College Eagles. And I want Brock. Look, even in a 63-3 loss to the Georgia Bulldogs, he looked so much better through the air attack against Georgia's defense. Put him up against a Boston College defense, we're winning that game.
I have two things to say.
You guys couldn't even see Adobe Audition right now, but it is like straight up. It just went
Can I say two things? Two things very quick. Two things. Hold on. I want to say two things very quick. I don't have much to say as a Kentucky fan, but I'm just saying the ACC champion wouldn't place top 4 in the SEC.
Because this is a different team.
Yeah, I know.
You're comparing.
I'm talking about the ACC champion this year.
Yeah, but you're comparing an
Miami
ACC.
Just wrecked an SEC school, bud.
So you're saying that they?
You're talking about Miami. Miami just slaughtered the Florida Gators.
So
part
they
of the
place above.
SEC.
Hold on.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Hold on. So they place above Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas.
Dude, what you're naming the top 4 teams?
Yeah, that's the SEC. I was saying they don't place top 4 in the SEC. If
Miami could compete with all 4 of those teams.
No. I disagree with that. Cam Ward's a Heisman winner this year. I think that offensively wise, okay, Alabama, Georgia, probably not.
We're talking about total.
At the SEC, I think they can be like. I think they can compete.
They can beat Texas and Ole Miss.
Don't be the new Paul Feinberg. Don't have this SEC bias.
You just started watching college football seriously.
You
like
got to
a few
understand.
Years ago.
Hey, by the way, who won the national championship last year? Was it an SEC team?
No,
it wasn't.
There was not an SEC team in the national championship. Get off there. No, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, but I mean, listen. As an SEC guy, listen, I'm dogs all the way. I love the SEC. I want the SEC to succeed as long as they're the Georgia Bulldogs and the Georgia Bulldogs are winning the SEC championship. That's it. But here's the thing. Let's end this episode on a positive note.
There is no positive
Hey,
note.
Let's end this episode. Let's get fired up about this Sunday for a team that I have not had confidence in since 2017.
Hey, you had the Falcons to look
you
forward
want to talk about my heart being broken? My heart has been broken by the Falcons more times than I can count. I have been, 28-3. I'm never going to get over it. I am never going to hear the end of it from other NFL fan bases. It's never going to happen. But this year, we have finally made the moves on our defense to where, wow, we look great. Kirk Cousins, I know he's 34 or 36 or however old he is. The man last year playing in the first half of the season was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the stinking league. If he can get an ounce of what he was last year, my goodness, with Drake London, Kyle Pitts is going to get the football this year, ladies and gentlemen.
Kyle Pitts is back, baby.
Kyle Pitts will get his receptions. Drake London will step up and be a number 1 wide receiver that this team needs. He was great last year. He's going to be even better this year. And Bijan Robinson, come on. Let's talk about it. The Bijan Robinson this year is going to be incredible.
Hey,
like
he's on
you
my
said,
fantasy
Andrew,
team, so.
1,200 yards. I don't think Tyler Algier is going to get 1,000. I would love for him to.
I don't think so either. But Bijan 100%.
But dude, Tyler Algier on the edge of that, also just a power back and
He'll
sit
be
there and
close.
run your butt over if you get in front of him.
I expect 500, 600 yards from Algier, and that is a powerful 1-2 punch. The Dirty Birds are back, baby.
When I see
Get excited,
when I
Atlanta.
see Bijan on the end zone, I'll be looking at saying, Bijan, is that really you?
Dude,
yes, it is.
for
Timmy. Bijan is in the end zone.
For the first time in a long time, Mercedes-Benz is not going to be filled with a bunch of fans that are just going, well, whatever happens this
There's
year
always
happens.
next Sunday.
This year is going to be the year that I feel like, I'm saying it now, ladies and gentlemen, NFC Championship. The Falcons will be playing in that game. I'm excited for this year. This year's going to be a great year for the Atlanta Falcons, and it's also going to be a great semester for Sports Outta Pocket.
Shout out Catfish Cowboy.
I'm just saying, stay tuned for episode 2 because we have an interview with running back, one of the West Georgia Wolves, Jez Mosley.
Oh my gosh, and after the week 1 win, you have to tune into that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an exciting time to be at West Georgia, ladies and gentlemen.
Go Wolves,
D1, baby.
D1.
Division 1,
We are one.
we're dominating.
We here, baby.
All right, with all that being said, we will see you all next week.
This is
It's college football time. And you know what that means. Crazy things happen.